edition here of Three Dog Thursday, the video show and the podcast. I am the somewhat competent host, TJ Rives. We've been away for a couple of weeks since before the conference championship games, but you knew that we were not leaving for good. No. Not when we've got not one, not two, not three, but 4 college football playoff games to break down, as well as some bowl games. Again, I cannot do this alone. Hello, Gary Segars. We cohabitate here on the Winning Cures Everything platform on Thursdays and do this program live. Again, if you are only hearing us on the podcast, come see what we look like through Gary's platforms on his YouTube page, his social media, and winningcureseverything.com. Good to be with you, my friend. 'Tis the week before Christmas, and under the tree, we get a bevy of college football, including 4 different home college football playoff games in South Bend State College, Austin, and Columbus, Ohio. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm feeling good. Ready for more football. This transfer portal stuff is just bonkers.
I know.
Absolutely bonkers.
Especially when you've got players that are potentially playing in a playoff game or a big-time bowl game that are in the transfer portal. Who can figure that out? But thankfully, some sanity about to be restored. And really, we can't overemphasize enough. We're excited for the history. You and I are both. We're not the oldest of college football fans, but we certainly have been around a bit. And we're about to see history because nobody's ever played a home game with a college football playoff tournament in progress and underway. That's about to happen for Notre Dame, for Penn State, for Texas, and for Ohio State. This is going to be wild. It took a long time to get here, but we're seeing home sites with playoff games coming up.
Now, you got that right. The atmospheres are going to be fun. Everybody has always talked about Southern teams going to the North in December. What is that going to look like? I mean, it might be just as bad for those Northern teams. So you never really know exactly what the weather is going to entail. But I'm excited about it. The fact that we might get snow in South Bend, I'm excited about that. Of course, they've had snow all week in Happy Valley.
They've been in there with earth movers trying to get the snow out of Beaver Stadium. And I don't know that SMU really bargained for being popsicles when they show up on Saturday early, depending on what's going to happen.
I agree. I don't think they anticipated that. But I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun. It's going to be fun. We should have, regardless of how many people are actually at the games, which we're talking about how low the ticket prices are right now because the semester is done, so there's not a bunch of students there. People have gone home for the holidays. You're talking about games happening literally just a few days before Christmas, and then you've also got neutral site games right after that for the winners. Yeah, tickets are going to be kind of easy to come by, but I still think it's going to be pretty full houses. And I think the crowds will be pretty raucous. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about that coming up when we plug for our sponsor, Ticket Smarter. Again, for the pod audience, if you're only hearing us, we'll talk more about that. The video audience can obviously see the couple of offers that we have through Gary's promo code. So what we're going to do is we're going to analyze the CFP. And the same thing that I said a couple of weeks ago, you are not, and I am not beholden to 3 underdogs on this episode if you don't have them. In my case, I do not, but in your case, you do, and that's going to include a couple of bowl games for later on. And full disclosure, Gary is gone all next week for the Christmas break. Bravo. You deserve it with all the great work that you've been doing. So I pledge that I will still be here post-Christmas, post-Xmas, next Thursday, and we will do a CFP preview involving those 4 winners who are waiting with buys. First time this has ever happened for opponents. We'll do that on Three Dog Thursday a week from now. But you're going to go ahead and get some licks in with some bowl games before the new year rings in. And we look forward to all of that. Okay, so why don't we do this? Which CFP game, because I know there's only one for you, there's only one for me, which college football playoff game stood out to you as an underdog play and why, to start us off here as we handicap a bit on Three Dog Thursday?
I'm going to go all the way to the end. On Saturday night, I'm going to take Tennessee plus the 7.5 against Ohio State. I know that it's a home game for Ohio State. I get that. But the vibes are not good around Buckeye Nation right now. Tickets, are open and whatnot, and it feels Did you see the thing where the Tennessee fans have changed it on Apple Maps to where Ohio Stadium, the horseshoe, is now listed as Neyland North?
Yes.
I mean,
I saw something and I heard about this. They got a promo code from somewhere to get into the early pre-sale, and it's believed that several thousand Vol tickets were sold that way. and that more than just the typical allotment, they may have a bundle of tickets. It could be very unusual at Ohio State at the Big House, at the Horseshoe.
Yeah, no, you've got that right. Knoxville to Columbus is not that far,
right?
So it's not crazy to think that they will be able to get some people up there. It's let's say a 5-hour drive, so we're not talking anything crazy. It's actually further from Memphis to Knoxville than it is from Knoxville to Columbus. So I think that you're going to see a pretty large Tennessee contingency. I do think, given this much time off, you give Josh Heupel that much time to prep for a defense, I think they're going to come out of the gates early. I gave away Tennessee plus 4.5 on the BetUS show, plus 4.5 in the first half,
right?
Because I do think that early on they're going to have some success. They're going to be able to draw up some stuff that Ohio State has not seen. I'm real curious about that Ohio State offensive line going up against this Tennessee defensive front. James Pierce, I think, is going to be able to get after Will Howard. Now, Will Howard is capable of creating on the fly, right? He can make plays with his feet. He can do all kinds of things. He can get outside the pocket and still throw the football. And they do have amazing wide receivers. That could be an issue for Tennessee's secondary. I still think Dylan Sampson's going to be able to run the ball on Ohio State's defense. I don't really trust the Ohio State defensive line to be able to just completely shut down the running game. If you have to bring safeties up, if you got to bring your linebackers up to focus on the run, Nico is going to have open windows. Whether or not he can hit them, that's going to be interesting. So I do think that this ends up being a relatively close game. Over 7.5 or anything over 7, I feel pretty good about. So I'll go ahead and take Tennessee plus the 7.5 here for this show. Now, I really like the plus 4.5 at the first half, but for show purposes, Tennessee plus 7.5, I do feel good about that because I think there's a possibility if this thing goes sideways early, like that crowd might turn on Ryan Day in that bunch.
I was just coming there. You didn't give me a chance to get in on how bizarre is all of this, that all of the talk is if they don't win, Ryan Day may be fired, especially with the fact that they lost the Michigan game and this game is at home. Do we believe the Buckeyes will look like the tight team that we saw? Because I believe you and I have not had a chance to talk since that one really played out, or at least we didn't talk about it. I thought they played so tight in the second half of the game against Michigan. I often call it, as I hold up my hand for the pod audience, they can't see it, the video audience on the Winning Cures platforms and 3 Dog Thursday, the tightiest of the sphinctiest. They played so tight in that second half with Michigan. I just wonder if this is a sequel, if this is a follow-up where Howard is jittery, can't complete a pass, they can't run the ball. Oh, my God, we're tied in the third quarter. Oh, my God, we're down by a field goal. That plays right into your hands for 3 Dog Thursday purposes. But I really I wonder if they haven't collectively all talked themselves into the self-fulfilling prophecy. If he loses, we're going to fire him. And now we've talked him into losing to fire Ryan Day. It's crazy.
I think that's the crazy thing about it is you saw that they put so much pressure on the Michigan game. I mean, we talked about it the week of, where it was just, why would you put this much pressure? And
granted, it's a hated rival, and we get it. It has pressure, just like the Iron Bowl has pressure, just like Texas OU. But Texas OU is earlier in the year. And really, honestly, we're now in an age, you know this, where this playoff is the bigger deal than that individual matchup with Michigan, especially if Ohio State can win 3 games and get into the championship game here. It's a much bigger deal. No one will remember that they blew that Michigan game if this Ohio State team rolls through and wins the national title. It's a footnote.
They will remember.
But it's a footnote. If they win the whole thing, that's all I'm saying. If they win the whole thing.
This is the issue with college football, right? Because we don't need ESPN or whoever to tell us what is important in college football. Beating your rival is important in college football. And the fact that they could lose that game and still be in a position to host a playoff game and then go and get revenge on Oregon and da-da-da. Look, this is a TV show. This game, really, what Ryan Day should be saying is, hey, we're playing with house money. None of this stuff even matters. Let's just go out there and have fun. That's what he should be going in and saying, all right, we're going to prep for next year. We're not going to put as much pressure on ourselves for this. But don't get this twisted. The most important thing was beating Michigan. and they failed on that. Period. And everything else is just whatever. Like I this playoff thing, I get so fired up about this because the playoff doesn't matter. The players don't care. Nobody cares about it. The Michigan game, that should have been the thing that you cared about.
Well, we'll see.
And
we'll see. I mean, their attitudes may change if they've won this, if they've won the Rose Bowl matchup you theorized with Oregon, if they have a chance to win the whole thing. Stay tuned. It may change. Now, I agree. If they come up short in this one, he may not last the weekend. Seriously,
you think they got Vrabel lined up already?
I don't know, but if they win and they keep winning, it's redemption. You don't believe they will. You think Tennessee's got a great shot outright. I can tell. You're taking the 7.5. So that is underdog number 1. All right. So I'm going to back up just before you. And I rode Clemson against SMU in the ACC championship game in Charlotte 2 weeks ago. I will ride them again with too many points against a Texas team that, again, stumbled and bumbled their way to a defeat. Credit Georgia, yes, in the SEC title game in Atlanta, but some of the vapor lock coaching from Steve Sarkisian late in that game. You talk about coaching tight or playing tight, where, again, for example, that the Georgia punter has blown his ACL out. The I believe it's Australian punter had injured himself on a previous kick and return. So they don't have their punter. And you aren't thinking fourth quarter, close game, 4th and short. They could fake this because they don't have the right punter. They were lost. They allowed Georgia.
They never even saw it coming.
I know they allowed Georgia to do that. But then even worse in the back and forth, at the final part of the game in the overtime, when Carson Beck came back on the field with like his arm dangling because of the injured elbow. How do you not have 10 guys in the box and say if they're going to beat us here in this overtime play, they're going to beat us because he throws the ball? Instead, they spread guys out. Georgia spread them out and said, thank you, spread the defense out so we can run the ball with a quarterback that can't throw. That's just a couple of examples where I shook my head. I don't know that Texas doesn't play a little tight. Dabo clearly has the advantage over most with the college football playoff experience, bearing in mind Ryan Day, right, is the only other coach out of the other ones besides Sarkisian last year to have college football playoff experience.
Well, and Kirby Smart.
Well, no, I'm talking about the teams that are playing this weekend. Yeah. Correct. Out of Marcus Freeman, Signetti, Rhett Lashley, James Franklin, and the other one is Josh Heupel.
Oh, yeah, you already said
Josh Heupel. So then Day and also Sarkisian are the only other ones by Dabo. But Dabo's got more playoff experience than the other coaches combined in this. I don't think Clemson is explosive. They can't afford to get down 10 points, 2 touchdowns, but they might be all over Texas early, who might play tight here. What are you saying to me? Is there a 12.5 out there right now as we do this show live on Winning Cures Everything's platforms with 3 Dog Thursday? Are we seeing 12.5?
Yes.
For Dabo and Clemson?
We have a 12.5 now.
Give me all of those because I think this is a close game. I think the coaching matters here for Dabo Swinney. I think they can run the ball. Yes, it will be raucous in Austin. Good luck challenging that, but I think they can handle that to a degree. Hang in, and that'll be my lone underdog play in the college football playoff. Final thought from you on Texas Clemson. Looking to advance on.
Interested in Quinn Ewers against Cade Klubnik, right? Because that was a Texas rivalry as far as high school football goes. The Quinn Ewers injury from earlier middle of the year, I think is still bothering him. He's that kind of injury takes a long time for you to heal up from, and I think he only took like 2 weeks off. So I think that he still can't get a lot of zip on the ball. If you watch what he's doing, it's a lot of dink and dunk passes. It's some short out. It's just stuff at the line of scrimmage or whatever, and then like some fades and whatnot. There's not really anything that he's trying to hit like over the middle. Anything that he was very accurate early last week. And then I guess once the shot wore off or whatever ended up happening, you could certainly tell in the second half last week that he didn't have whatever it was. They are really bad again. And now I thought they had cleared it up early in the year. They are number 54 in points per scoring opportunity. And what that is basically how many points do you score once you get inside the opponent's 40-yard line? Like once you get a first down inside the opponent's 40. they have the 10th most scoring opportunities per game. So they get inside the opponent 47 times per game on average. And they're only averaging 4.04 points once they get inside that. It's not great. Clemson is not great at defending it. They're number 47 in points allowed per scoring opportunity. I'm so curious about this because Clemson, every time they've gone up against a good team,
right,
and that's multiple SEC teams and whoever else. And I guess you could call SMU a good team, but is what it is.
They jumped all over them for what it's worth on the neutral field, but that was kind of a home away from home in Charlotte.
It was home away from home. Also, it was SMU had not been in that kind of a stage. They looked shell-shocked right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, eventually, they got going, and I mean, they put up better numbers than Clemson did. But yeah, I'm interested in this. So you're going to roll Clemson. I'm going to stay away from it because I think there's a world where Texas's defense just completely shuts down their offense.
And maybe
I get where you're going though with the experience and whatnot, and the fact that
a lot of points.
Yeah, Texas can't finish drives.
All right, so again, that is underdog number 2 on the show. We are going to talk about the other 2 games in a couple of moments, but first, the plug for our friends at TicketSmarter. Again, on the video show, you see it on the screen here on 3 Dog Thursday. Use TicketSmarter, their mobile app. If you are looking to go, if you've got friends, acquaintances, anybody that you know that's looking to be in South Bend, in Happy Valley, in Austin, or in Columbus at the Horseshoe, utilize these promo codes. Gary and I were looking it over for South Bend on Friday night, $500+ get-in price. It is clearly the hot ticket for the college football playoff this weekend. Again, they're the answer to the trivia question. The first ever team to host a college football playoff home game is Notre Dame with Indiana. Use the promo codes. Forget about using WCE10 right now to try to get into the Notre Dame game. Use WCE20. Any purchase $300 or more, save $20. TicketSmarter mobile app. Most competitive prices on the secondary market. Purchase safe and secure, guaranteed. You will get those seats. And again, might be a little easier to get into Happy Valley. You were telling me the get-in price was under $100 there for the upper levels. You've got bad weather. You've got more seats. But still, for the better seats at Notre Dame, Penn State, Texas, or Ohio State this weekend, use TicketSmarter, the TicketSmarter mobile app, and the promo code WCE20 saves you $20 off an order $300 or more. They see it right here on the screen with us on the Winning Cures Everything YouTube page and 3 Dog Thursday. Get in the game. Think smarter. Ticket smarter. These make great gifts, by the way, to give somebody a discount and give them the tickets. Use the discount. Why would you not? On Ticket Smarter and the Ticket Smarter mobile app. So I'm with you. I mean, understanding that Texas and Penn State have to move 100,000 tickets for a home game without students there, just because they might only have 90,000 or 85,000 and not have every seat sold. I don't think that's a blow to these games, because another factor, Gary, is fans may be waiting up to save their money for travel, accommodation, and tickets for the next weekend if you believe Texas or Penn State is moving on, right?
That's right. And, of course, moving on the week after that, right? Because you
potentially,
there's two more neutral sites before you even get to the title game. So
bearing in mind, you spent money for a lot of these fans to go to Atlanta if you're Texas to play Georgia, to go to Indianapolis if you're Penn State, to play Ohio State. Clemson fans did the same thing, but that was a car ride to Charlotte for this. Again, yes. Notre Dame and Indiana weren't involved in a championship game. You know, Notre Dame fans are at home. There's no travel. But if you're looking at that, if you're a Penn State fan or a Texas fan, and I already spent money to be at the championship game, and I believe we're going to win, and I'm trying to, as the military term, save my powder. I'm trying to save my powder for the bowl game that is the quarterfinal game, and then potentially the semifinal game where I've got to spend thousands on airfare and hotel. I can understand where some people are holding back. I get it in these economic times.
Do you realize that Texas, the way that this thing has lined up, they have the opportunity to play 3 times in the in Atlanta, in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Right.
That is all in the same month as well, like month and a half.
It would be crazy.
We got to fix that. Like, that's absurd. So,
because the rotation, again, is the Peach Bowl, and the championship game is in Atlanta as well. Yes. It's crazy.
And they played the SEC championship game there. So it's just nuts. I'm curious about Texas fans and I believe Penn State fans. I think that those two fan bases feel like they are going to be in the semifinals. So they may not even travel to the next round because Texas fans assume they are going to beat Arizona State. Penn State fans assume they are going to beat Boise State. Well, Penn State fans would rather go see them play against Georgia or Notre Dame or whatever in Miami or in the Cotton Bowl. And it's kind of the same thing with Texas fans. It's like, okay, well, yeah, we could go see them play Arizona State in Atlanta, where we just were to play Georgia, or we could wait and go see them in the Cotton Bowl that's right here in our state and play against Oregon, which we feel like would be a better game. So,
all right,
I'm curious how.
And
how
again, a different dynamic for Ohio State and Tennessee fans. They didn't have a championship game. Kind of the same thing with Notre Dame and Indiana, and you're wanting to be there for this history that's being made for these home games for the college football playoff. All right, so for the other two, again, Indiana is a touchdown underdog against Notre Dame. And in the case of SMU, what are we seeing with Penn State on 3 Dog Thursday Live? What's the latest on that line as well?
We're seeing some 9s and some 8.5s.
You and I shied away. Give me a quick thought on either one of those. I know you've been talking about it, doing a great job on the BetUS show with Kyle and with Parker on the BetUS TV platforms. But give me a quick thought on those other two games real quick that we did not take.
I took Notre Dame -7 at home. I think that their line of I think they will control the line of scrimmage. We'll say that. So I think they're just bigger in the trenches. Indiana, we saw what they did against Ohio State. They're going on the road here.
Or didn't do, right? Or didn't do.
And that's the biggest thing. They had one great drive to start off, the scripted drives, like I was talking about with Heupel, and then they could do nothing for the entire rest of the game. So I kind of feel like they'll be able to do more here, but I just think Notre Dame is significantly better. In the other one, what was the other one? SMU and
Penn State. Yes,
I took Penn State at -8 last week on the BetUS show, and this is another one of those where line of scrimmage, there's a huge advantage for Penn State. Now, they haven't really had to go against a mobile quarterback quite like Kevin Jennings. Mm-hmm. I'm curious what
Dylan Gabriel a little bit in the championship game.
A little bit.
Right?
And Gabriel certainly ate him alive, but he's got a lot more experience than Jennings does. And SMU, if you think about it, they have not been in a situation like this. They were in the AAC last year. Mm-hmm. Like and this year, they played a bunch of nobodies all season. The most raucous crowd they might have gone into was Louisville.
Right.
This, even if it is 90,000 and 100,000 seat stadium, State College, whiteout, cold conditions. That's a different beast.
We will know. We will know in the first two possessions if they are ready to go or if they're going to maybe get rolled in this setting. And I know James Franklin in big games, horrific record, but this is really set up early Saturday, I think, to find out, does SMU want to be there in the cold and Penn State can run the ball? This could. I mean, we saw Clemson jump all over them. Just to go back to it one more time, I fear this could be a one-sided game for Penn State.
And that's exactly what I'm betting on. I think Penn State kind of handles business here. I think that spread's going to get up to probably 10 before kickoff. So that's the direction I'm going there.
All right. So again, we took two of these officially. And those are the last two. Hey, just one more on this. We need to illuminate again for the audience here. The game on Friday night, ESPN and ABC showing the historic Notre Dame-Indiana game. It's the first time that a Notre Dame home game has not been on the NBC television network since 1990. Starting in 91, that's when the contract began, kids. So Sean McDonough and Greg McElroy calling this game on ESPN, ABC. That's the first time the game's not been on NBC in going on 3.5 decades. It's crazy.
Pretty wild.
For this home game. Now, interesting, the games are on Turner's TNT cable because ESPN, without getting into all the machinations of it, ESPN was able to lease these games to Turner. So Penn State, SMU, as well as Clemson, Texas, are going to play on TNT Sports on the cable channel while the NFL is playing on network TV. Mahomes and the Chiefs are on the early game on NBC, and then the Steelers game with the Ravens is on the Fox television network. I fear that may hurt the college football playoff here in the afternoon.
Oh, yes.
That you got to go find it on cable as opposed to it being on network TV.
You can also do Max for streaming.
Correct, and stream them.
No, this is if you look at what they did, they they sub-licensed out the
That's correct.
ACC teams.
Sold
because
them
the
off.
ACC teams draw.
Leased them off. Correct. Yes. Yes.
The term that I was told for SMU for TV is they can't draw flies to a gut wagon.
Maybe. And so they just are going to sacrifice them against Mahomes and the Chiefs in the early game.
Yeah, basically.
But, bear in mind, this is still going to be the ESPN announcers, by the way, as well. It'll be the ESPN production. So it's going to be kind of bizarre, but the games are on TNT in the afternoon. And then that standalone game with Ohio State and Tennessee, that's easily going to have 10 million people watching, if not 15 million people watching. This is me saying this, amateur guess, and it might be more than that. For Buckeyes and Vols, brand name, love-hate with Ohio State especially. Let's see what kind of audience is there on the Saturday before Christmas for that late game. But we're just laying that out for the college football playoff. All right, you got a couple more underdogs in bowl games. But first, we want to tell the audience about one more sponsor before we get a couple of more underdogs and we get out of here. Let's do that right now. And that sponsor is our friends at Go Sleeves. Again, if you are looking to be a weekend warrior and you know that your knees ache, your elbows hurt, use our friends at Go Sleeves and their great kinesiology technology for several different reasons. One, it increases blood flow. It also helps out with inflammation, and it also gives you the ability to recover quicker. Again, if you are a runner, if you are a golfer, a pickleball player, you're going to see on our video that we're showing on the Winning Cures Everything platforms, if you're a weightlifter, for example, a biker, use these therapeutic sleeves wherever and whenever. Hit that tennis ball, hit that golf ball, put them on the elbow, the knee, the calf. It is go time with Go Sleeves. They've been sponsors throughout the college football season. They also make gifts. If you've got somebody else that you know that could utilize these things, Gary, again, they help therapeutically with their kinesiology technology for the blood flow, reduce inflammation, help you recover. Again, if you consistently run, play pickleball on the knees, whatever the situation is, again, tennis elbow, golf elbow, pickleball elbow, utilize Go Sleeves, GoSleeves.com, and use the promo code WCE. Put in the promo code WCE for a savings. We've already had some viewers and listeners taking advantage of that. It's go time with Go Sleeves, and it makes a great holiday gift. Therapeutic sleeves for the knees, the calves, and the elbows with Go Sleeves. So we recommend them as one more sponsor.
Do they have pickleball elbow now? Is that a thing?
I think you can for the older crowd. My friend, here in Florida, I know not as much for you in the Mid-South in Tennessee, pickleball has mushroomed with the older crowd and even the seniors crowd, and they've got the knee. I've seen it, the knee and the elbow braces on. Use Go Sleeves. Utilize it for that. But if you're a runner, if you are a weekend basketball player, golfer for the elbow, tennis for the elbow, whatever, use their therapeutic sleeves. We love that. All right, couple more underdogs, and you're going to go bowl game worthy. Again, you're not with us next week, so we say happy holidays and Merry Christmas to Gary Segars for that. But give me a couple of bowl games and why that you're going to utilize here for underdog purposes. In fact, you're going to go the day after Christmas with game number one, right?
I am. We're going to Ford Field. We're going to Detroit. And I believe it's the game above Sports Bowl. I'm doing Toledo +7 against Pitt. Pitt, I believe 1-5 against the spread in the last 6 games that they had.
Wow.
It looks like Eli Holstein is going to play. That's the quarterback there. But that offense dropped off significantly towards the end of the season. I like Vince Karras. He is he's the defensive coordinator at Toledo. Toledo 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 over the past 3 seasons as an underdog. They seem to play better in that role, and they always play better. And now, we have talked about this man multiple times on here. Jason Candle is the head coach at Toledo. They do not play up to expectation when they are a favorite, and they have not for years. However, when you put him in an underdog role, this man shows up, and this whole team shows up. So I'm getting 7 there. Pitt has not played well, and they've got a bunch of guys in the portal, especially a bunch of guys on that defensive line. So I think Toledo is going to be able to show up here, at least keep this thing close. But I think there is a chance, as they are very familiar with Ford Field, I think there's a chance they win the game outright. So I certainly like that one.
Again, the Game Above Sports Bowl, and I don't know how you trust who's playing, who's not. Gary goes out on the limb over a week from now, or actually a week from now on the day after Christmas. Afternoon game, Ford Field. You like Toledo. And out of the other bevy of bowl games, I mean, my God, the 68 Ventures Bowl that I'm looking at, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl where you are with Arkansas and Texas Tech. I mean, just the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl, if you like that one. You're going to advance all the way ahead to what the following weekend, and NC State and East Carolina in Annapolis in the Gold Bowling Military Bowl. What stood out about the Wolfpack being an underdog for a third underdog for you?
Well, not the Wolfpack that are the underdogs. It's East Carolina.
Pardon me, East Carolina against NC State. What stood out about ECU?
ECU, one, it's vibes, right? This is an in-state rivalry. These two fan bases do not like each other. The two schools, from what I understand, do not like each other. And East Carolina, new head coach, the vibes are incredibly high there. I think they're pretty high for NC State as well. They started to play a lot better with the freshman quarterback CJ Bailey towards the end of the season. Still, that defense, not very good. Of course, NC State loses their defensive coordinator, Tony Gibson, over to Marshall. He is their new head coach, as Charles Huff has gone over to Southern Miss. But that defense for NC State, not great this year by any stretch of the imagination. And the worst part about their defense was stopping the pass. They are incredibly susceptible to explosive passing plays and whatnot. And that happens to be East Carolina's best thing. From what I can tell, it looks like everybody's a go for this, and East Carolina was going to be one of the more experienced teams in the country coming back next year, but they don't have a bunch of guys in the portal and whatnot. Same thing with NC State. This has always been a pretty close game. If you look at since 2013, East Carolina is 4-2 against the spread in matchups against NC State. They are 3-0 against the spread in the last 3 against North Carolina. So you mix those together, and you're looking at 7-2 in the last 9 for East Carolina against the big schools in the state. They really get up for games like this, and they, from all the stuff that I've read, they are fired up here. I think this is kind of a vibes play. I'm going to take East Carolina plus the 5.5. I think there is a chance that they win this game outright.
And again, that game in Annapolis, not this Saturday, but a week from Saturday.
By the way, has lost and failed to cover in 4 straight. No, sorry, they're 1-3 against the spread. But they have lost 4 straight bowl games. They just never seem to win bowl games.
Interesting.
So I don't know what that is, but
a lot pointing to it. And again, for the bowl games, we're going to plug one more time for the college football playoff. Use Ticket Smarter, the Ticket Smarter mobile app. The promo code's $100 or more order WCE10, $300 or more order WCE20 for the better seats in some of these bowl games, etc. If you're looking to get those, we plug one more time for Ticket Smarter. So by means of recap, you and I go college football playoff. You went to the end of the Saturday triple header and took Ohio State and Tennessee, and you liked the Vols, maybe even outright. Is Ryan Day still the coach on Monday morning if Tennessee wins? Seriously, legitimately, are they gonna play tight? Gary thinks they might. He'll take Tennessee, and I'll back up the game previous. Give me Clemson, another orange, playing the other burnt orange of the Texas Longhorns. I don't know that they win, but 12.5 is a lot to keep it close. I'll take the Clemson Tigers, who were good to be in the ACC title game for 3-Dog Thursday purposes in this one. And then let's see what happens for all the mayhem. It's history no matter what, Gary, across the board. 4 home games for Notre Dame, Penn State, Texas, and Ohio State. And the winners then slot into the different bowl games. Whoever ends up winning these games slot into the 4 different bowl games, which we will be back to talk about after Christmas here on 3-Dog Thursday. Anything else that we've left out? We've got a list, right? And we're checking it twice, not just for underdogs, but for gifts. We got the Christmas mayhem going on. We got college football playoff going on. It's a great time of the year. There's no doubt.
It is. It is. Hey, by the way, the Ticket Smarter stuff, great gifts as well. Like giving away tickets, man.
Use the discount.
AC/DC is going on tour next year. You know I'm a big AC/DC guy. So I'm a little excited.
Are you back in black? I think you might be back in black with AC/DC.
Hey, I'm on the highway to hell, my friend.
Exactly. You can utilize it for concerts, for the NFL, for these games that are narrowing down, those Christmas Day games. If you're looking to get in, these promo codes still apply. Use them as many times as you want for the NFL, for concerts, for college football, college basketball, the NBA, whatever you want to use it for from Ticket Smarter. Exactly. Listen, my friend, good luck with your underdogs. We've spent some time here. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas, Gary Segars, because
And
I will
you.
not be with you. There will be a show next week, but Gary's off next week with the fam. Good for you. I look forward to talking college football playoff quarterfinals next week as well after Christmas on Three Dog Thursday. My friend, thank you. Great stuff.
Of course.
I appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you for hanging with us here on the Winning Cures Everything platform. Again, if you're only hearing us, come see the video show, winningcureseverything.com and the Winning Cures YouTube page. Gary does a great job with all of his content, all the bowl games, all the breakdown of all the games on winningcureseverything.com, as well as the YouTube page. That's where we hang out on Thursday. Good luck to Gary and for me with the underdog that we each have in the college football playoff. Gary's got 2 more in those 2 bowl games. We thank you for being with us on Three Dog Thursday.